So we begin 3 out of the next 4 on the road. We've since I've been coaching at Auburn, we've struggled at South Carolina. Actually played well a couple times, but don't have a great record there. We won last year, but we've lost 3 prior. Defense and rebounding, we talk about winning championships, and, South Carolina is one of the better defensive and rebounding teams in our league. They average 14.5 offensive rebounds a game. That's at times been an issue for us. They're 11th in field goal percentage defense. We managed to score 70 against LSU, but that was hard. And so they're, really good defensive team. They're big, physical. It's hard to run your stuff. Frank's one of the better defensive coaches in the country. And yet they scored 105 in the last outing at home. They play really well at home. They shoot it really well at home. This team's got wins over Western Kentucky and Georgetown and Florida State. They played a good schedule. So it's a good opportunity. It's a good team. While we've had success on the road being 2-0, we're also down 15 at South Florida and down 13 at St. Louis. And so that's a reality. And there are some things obviously that you can't do on the road that we've done on the road to put ourselves in those positions. And 3 out of our next 4 games are on the road. So kind of a interesting segment of our season right now as we get ready for ready for South Carolina. Questions? Greg, you gonna hand these guys off a question?
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. We'll start with Tom Green.
Hey, Bruce, I know you said after the game last week that Allen played too many minutes and that was on you, but 29 minutes in just his second game back, just how has he responded from that? And how have you seen him kind of respond overall? Are you encouraged by his process or progress since that injury?
Yeah. Tom, I just think jumping from 12 to 28 was too much, but we knew he was able to. In other words, Allen had been practicing for a few weeks prior to his play against Murray State. But we just wanted to get him sort of acclimated. I had him at a pretty hard 12-minute count against Murray. And then when Devin Cambridge wasn't available, the starter at the position, it put him in a position where, and then you're playing LSU, put him in a position where he could have played more. It's just that he probably got 1 rotation each half more than he should have. That said, and the reason for it is so that he can be productive when he's out there and not take possessions off and rest, and because obviously the conditioning is not what it will be. But it was great having him on the floor, very calming influence. He had 6 big defensive rebounds, so it helps us so much with an area, the physicality aspect of things. It helps us tremendously. And he's another guy that can get downhill and get to the rim. And he felt no effects of the 28 minutes. He was fine. He probably needed it from a conditioning standpoint.
All right, we'll go to Justin Hokanson.
Hey, Bruce, entered the AP poll comes out today, your top 10 in Ken Palm and net. Obviously, as SEC play starts, is this team where you wanted them to be? They in a good spot?
Yeah, it's from a standpoint of where we are health-wise, the improvement that we've made, that we're continue to make, where we want to be. But we've got to continue to, there are a lot of things. Look, we turned the ball over 21 times against LSU. Our offense got stagnant at points in the middle of the first half and parts of the second half. Having been on the road a couple times, if you slop through your offense against South Carolina, they won't let you run it. They're going to let you enter it. They're going to make your catches difficult. Ball pressure will bother. They're very physical on the inside, and so we got to be able to play through contact. And make our free throws at a higher percentage, especially when you're on the road. So there's just a lot of things, that we need to continue to improve on. But I mean, it'd be hard to complain with where we are right now. And I just hope we can take advantage of it.
Jordan Hill.
Bruce, you mentioned South Carolina being really good at offensive rebounding. Just what sort of stands out to you about them in that way, and how important is limiting those second chance opportunities going to be?
Yeah, well, here's what they've got. They've got big guards that can get in a lane and shoot mid-range jump shots over our smaller guards. And then sometimes if those shots are contested shots, and sometimes the bigs have a tendency to help, then they send their 4s and 5s in particular. Obviously they're 3s, 4s, and 5s. They send them hard to the boards. And so 14 and a half offensive rebounds a game is a lot. That's just a lot. They're really athletic. They're really long. They're really big. They're really strong. They're older. And so part of it is the shots that they take. And look, they also take inside shots. They get and of course, inside shots lead to inside rebounds. And so they won't settle for as many, 3 balls. They got a couple guys that can really shoot it, but they're not 3-ball happy. And so it's going to be this will have to be a game where we have our most physical game in order to take away what they're good at.
New bias, Wilborn.
Hey, Bruce, first of all, how are you? Happy New Year. Forgive me lack of camera. Hope you're doing well, man.
Good, Tobias. Hope you're well too.
Man, I'm blessed and highly favored. I can't complain. With the next home game, forgive me for skipping ahead, but that'll be the first home game with the indoor mask mandate. How does that impact the players, and how are you guys going about handling that going forward? Obviously, I know they can't play in masks, but what about the sideline? And
yeah, it's a good question. One of the things that we're talking about, and I'm going to let the department kind of talk about this. I don't think there's been any kind of words not necessarily out. But I think as far as playing the game, everything's normal. We're going to play the game. We're going to play the game. Obviously, with COVID being, so rapidly spreading right now with this new variant, I do think we need to examine what we do coming out of locker room, going back into the locker room, and then when the game is over. In other words, there's a lot we love our fans. We love the jungle. We love to take pictures and sign autographs after the game with our fans and families. I do know that we're having dialogue right now about what's the smartest thing to do right now after the game. And so we'll see about whether or not our pregame and our postgame accessibility to players and coaches is adjusted right now while the virus is so rampant. I can just tell you that I'm back, we're under a little bit more COVID protocols. We're trying to mask up a little bit more. We've had some COVID, and we've had some some other just flu type things. It's the winter season. But we should be good to go to South Carolina. Right now we're at full strength. And so we'll see what each day brings. But I would imagine there could be some adjustments to game day.
All right, Coach, we'll go to Michael Gittins next.
Coach, at 12-1, you're off to one of the best starts, if not the best start of your coaching career, with key new starters on offense. So what things have you been able to do with this team to help them gel early in the season?
Well, I think our way of doing things, our culture is never going to be different. But our job is to put our kids in positions to be successful. So what does each player do well? And can we find things offensively where they'll be comfortable doing those things? And then how do we evolve throughout the season? And then how do you change game to game based on the strengths and weaknesses of your opponent? And that's what we've been trying to roll with. I will say this, that the guys have been very locked in to scouts, very locked into the adjustments, and we progressed a long way in that regard. But as I said, after the LSU game, don't get too excited about that one. because we've got so much work still left to be done throughout the season. If we keep improving, we'll keep winning. And that's going to be a real key for us.
I will try to get to two more. First is Mark Murphy.
Yeah, Bruce, do you think playing UCF is helpful for you guys? Is playing a really tough physical team like them, going in, particularly playing a team like South Carolina, who traditionally plays that same style?
Yeah, I mean, UCF would be an example of a team that plays, physically. Murray State plays a little bit like South Carolina as well. You really can't prepare for the physicality of a Frank Martin team until you actually go out there and play them. And we'll be challenged physically at every position, and you got to play hard. You got to play physically without fouling, and every matchup's different. That's the thing about the grind of an SEC season. The things that we had to do against LSU, rebounding was important, physicality, athleticism, but South Carolina is going to guard us completely different than the way LSU guarded us. So the things that will be available to us will be different, and can we make that adjustment quickly?
You think your guys are excited about playing on the road in the league, a different type of challenge for them?
I mean, hopefully the St. Louis game will give us a real taste of what that's going to feel like and what that's going to look like, because we were really up against it there. But we can't continue to get down 13 and 15 on the road and expect to come back and win games.
Thanks.
And we will wrap you up with a follow-up from Nubias.
Bruce, earlier you mentioned that you guys had some COVID-related issues. Like, how is everybody now, and how are you guys going forward? And will everybody? Just want to make sure everybody's available for next game. I know David Cambridge mentioned missed last game for medical reasons.
Well, Nubias, I think that's going to be a daily deal. I'm not going to comment. We're going to try not to comment specifically, but I think generally speaking, you guys and the public has a right to know what do we look like going in. And I can just tell you today, everybody should be there. I can't tell you what tomorrow. I can't tell you what tomorrow is going to be, as you guys know, because the virus is a moving target. But we're doing the very best we can. We've got the finest team doctor and Dr. Michael Goodlett. There isn't a better one in the country, and they're doing a great job helping us with all the things that we need to do to protect ourselves.
All right, Coach, appreciate it.
Okay. All right, guys. Thank you.
Talking a little trash on the field? Yeah, we get it. Trashing the state with litter? That's terrible. Keep it clean. Keep Alabama beautiful.